Hello there. You're watching and listening to another ScoutCast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
Hello there. Hi, my name's Granville.
My name's Andy.
It's all gone to bits already. Granville comes back, makes a triumphant return, and he normally is second, to be fair, John T. Let's be honest. So you need to.
I guess I've been demoted to third then. That's all right. I'll take that.
Yes, we're back. We're back, and we mean business. Hence the suits. We said we were going to do this, and we did. I couldn't even have time to find a shirt with a collar. I looked like Alex Higgins in frame number 12 at the Crucible back in 1979. Granville, you'll remember that.
Haven't you got? You should have. Sure, you worn your white suit. You know, the one that Robbie Fowler gave you.
My cup final suit. Yeah. I just didn't have time. I'll tell you what, we're back, and I would be incredibly excited about the new season had I not be completely exhausted and so busy. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me, but we're back, and I'm so pleased to be on the ScoutCast again and starting a new season. And it's great to have you here, John T, Andy, and of course Granville, who makes a triumphant return. He's going to be rusty like me. Surely you're going to be rusty, aren't you, Granville?
Yeah, sure am. I mean, I don't know where to put my hands at the minute. You've got a beer in front of you as well. I've got a drink. I'm just so ill prepared for this. But I'll wing it.
Don't worry, because John T has been doing a sterling job, and I'm going to rely on him as well because I haven't had time to do too much research, but hopefully it's all up here. We'll see. John T, we've got plenty to discuss, haven't we? We've got community questions and all kinds of things they're going to throw our way, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to look at big hitters. We're going to look at a certain big Swede. We're going to look at some fillers, some cheapies to help us out. And we're also going to look at defenders, and we're going to look at all sorts of players to bring in. We're also going to have a good old preview of clean sheets, find out our Fantasy Island risks, and any kind of niggling doubts we've got about our teams as well at the end. And obviously, people want to know who our captain is, but I suspect it'd probably be one person. But we'll find out a bit later.
I think that's going to be very, very dull indeed, isn't it? We'll try. I tell you what, if it sounds like we're making this up on the fly, I probably am. But John T's going to hold all this together, isn't he, Granville, and do a sterling job. Andy, are you prepared for this?
Yeah, I think
you are.
Yeah, I'm prepared enough, I'd say. Whether or not I've got anything that's going to be useful to say, we'll see. But I'm prepared. I'm ready to rock.
You're looking good in the suit, Andy.
Yeah, Andy, have you got changed since the last time? Have you actually been sitting there for the last 3 months waiting?
No, but it isn't exactly the same attire. I only put this on for this and job interviews. That's about it, really.
Well, you didn't wear it through the Euros?
No, definitely not.
Did you do this suit like the last ScoutCast then?
No, Andy just.
I did. I just turned up.
Randomly. So, and then we said we're it's kind of a Lineker thing. Yeah, we didn't want to be naked because we thought that would hurt the viewing count. So we thought suits would be the answer. So
can we have a vote at the end of it? Who looks best in a suit?
I think they're already voting. In the chat now.
Apparently, Mark, you look like Jarvis Cocker.
Yeah, not for the first time I've had that. Yeah, he does wear his tie like this, doesn't he? Yeah. I've hardly got a neck to put a tie onto, to be fair. So that would be me and Jarvis. Should we get down to business, John?
Yes.
To steer this thing. Somebody steer this thing.
Okay. Yeah, so we've had absolutely loads of questions about big hitters, and this is a good question to start with because I know Mark was desperate to answer, so he's very pleased that someone's asked it. Winner, chicken dinner, great name. He asks, which assets are you most scared of not owning? I'm going to ask Mark first because I think there's a certain player that he hasn't got and he's scared of.
Did he generally come up with this question? Because I actually said to you today, I said that would be a good question. I wonder if anyone came up with that. Did you?
No, I congratulate him on the question. No, he's real. I mean, he's got a great name. Yeah. Winner, chicken dinner. But so anyone you're not got, never going to get.
Of course. You're going to talk about the big Swede, aren't we? Ibrahimovic. I'm not going with him. Granville, I'm just not having it. I am scared of him though. He does worry me because. You know, his record, albeit that record was in France where Paris Saint-Germain just walked the title by 30 points. So, but, so I'm not going with him. 11-5, I'm going with Kane. And so, I'm petrified of Ibrahimovic. I can barely say his name. That's how scared I am of him. So it's a simple answer. That's the one I'm worried about. I'm also a bit worried about Hazard. I don't think I'm going to go Hazard. I'm still toying with the idea, so those two for me are the ones I'm worried about.
I would go the same as well.
Oh, Granville's got
the thing is with Ibrahimovic, you were expecting United to hit the ground running. Not so sure. I think might be a little bit more cagey. Try and get the results to start off with, get a bit of confidence, and then start playing. But I'm not 100% sure about Ibrahimovic. Just right at the minute, first week. Don't know. It seems a bit too obvious to get him. And probably do okay. And Mr. Hazard as well. I agree. I mean, he's got the potential. He didn't do it at all last season. I mean, he only scored a couple of goals in the league. Very disappointing, but we know he's got potential. And Chelsea may be rejuvenated after such a bad season last year. I think he's the one actually. Hazard. I'm still thinking about getting him.
Yeah, how do you think it's going to go with Conte? Like, we'll talk about Man United in a minute because you might have Andy obviously support that team. How do you think it's going to go with Chelsea? Because number 10 role maybe not on pens. I mean, John T. Oscar's on pen, isn't he? So I don't know. I am worried about Hazard, but I'm kind of hoping that Conte, defensive manager, it's not going to be a disaster for me.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about Hazard because he's in my team. He's in there because he's hit the ground running in pre-season. He was pretty good in the Euros in a very disjointed Belgian side, and he had a really good end to last season. I think he could be played in a kind of a central attacking role, or at least kind of behind one or two strikers. But the other thing is his price as well. I mean, one of the things that people are looking at is about kind of flexibility. Hazard's price, he is pricey. So if it doesn't work out, well, there's perhaps Mahrez at 9.5, a bunch of 8.5 players to get in. So I can always, but if I get an 8.5 player in that kind of space, and Hazard does what Chelsea players can do at the beginning of a season. I remember Malouda and Drogba particularly. I had to take hits. I had to take hits in game week 2. I remember I'd be scarred by that. And but it's easier. So maybe I'm wrong about Hazard. Well, I'll get one of those wonderful 8.5 midfielders that are out there at Spurs and also Mahrez at 9.5. I can get them, but could be surgery getting an all guns firing Hazard in. I think so. I'm getting in.
One thing that is noticeable, and I don't know if we're going to cover this later, is the amount of options that we've got at the start of the season. Because I've looked over the RMTs on the website, and I don't think I've seen such variety.
Are there some RMTs on the website, John T? All right.
So yeah, if you rate my teams, I've seen a few. Yeah. But yeah, they are actually all different. People say, oh, they're all the same. The templates. There are similar players, but there's so much choice. As Granville said, there's so much choice.
I mean, Aguero is the only consistent I see in all the teams, and I look at my midfield; it's completely different to everyone else's, and it's just as valid.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's more options this year. I think Hazard, hopefully, in a way. I mean, I don't want him to explode, but in a way, I hope he does, because last year I think we was too restricted, and the template formed quite quickly, and it never really broke because Leicester kept going, and Ali kept going, and Kane kept going, and this year I hope we're going to have much more choice. Ibrahimovic, okay, let's go back to him. So I'm not getting him. I'm surprised, Granville, you're not. Are you getting any United attackers at all?
Well, I did start with the Mkhitaryan, but it doesn't look like he's going to start. So I will start probably with Martial.
Right. Okay.
So I will have a United player, and I also have Shaw at the back, who's quite a popular signing. And I think he's as good as gold really for 5. How much is he? 6.
He's 5'5".
5'5". Well, there you go.
John T, have we got a question on Valencia versus Shaw later on?
We have, so we'll come to that a bit later.
We'll come back to that in a minute. What about you, Andy? Because you're a United fan. So Ibrahimovic, tell me about it. Go on.
Yeah, I don't have him either right now. I'm quite surprised that none of us have got him at all. I don't know if Joe has. But yeah,
that doesn't surprise me. I'll talk about that in a minute.
Were you put off by his performance in the Charity Shield?
Yeah,
I was actually.
I was slightly, yeah.
Yeah, and not necessarily just his performance, but like the whole team. So I think Ibra playstyle seems to be a lot of dropping deep, and Rooney also does the same. So down the centre, we had Carrick and Fellaini in that game, so it was a bit awkward anyway in the centre mid. So hopefully Pogba can come in and spark that. But I just wasn't impressed with the whole team, and Mourinho has already made comments that it's going to take some time to basically drum it out LVG's system out of them to like try and get him to play the way he wants to play. So for that much money, I'm thinking I might sit and wait. But obviously, he is the most owned player that I don't own, so it's a little bit of a worry. But I think I'm gonna go about any United attackers to start and just see how things go once Pogba's in the team.
And this is where Jonty's going to talk about ownership and the fear factor. Go on, Jonty.
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of reasons, but one is the price as well, 11.5. So say he gets a hat-trick away to Bournemouth. Well, looking at his last season, people say Paris Saint-Germain, but over 4 years there, 113 goals, 122 appearances. I mean, this isn't like the Vauxhall Conference or something. This is still a fine league. And Milan, but this season before he went to Paris Saint-Germain, 32 appearances, 28 goals. So away to Bournemouth, will one of the best strikers in the world score? Well, yeah, very likely. So if he scores twice and everyone gets him in, because the other thing, Manchester United players, they've got such a global following. There's such a global following playing fantasy Premier League as well in particular. So you've got all of these people. Suddenly his price will absolutely rocket. And let's have a look at his ownership. It's absolutely huge, 38.9%.
Nearly caught Aguero, hasn't he?
Yeah, nearly caught Aguero. I wouldn't be surprised with all the Manchester United fans coming, signing up as well to FPL on the day. Because on the day, that's when a lot of people start doing it. 38.9%. So, yeah, you're going to be missing out on that. But if I'm wrong, well, okay, I'll get Kane in. I'll get Vardy in. No hit as well. But if I get Vardy or Kane in...
Will you do that though? Because will you instantly go? I'm going to get rid, and I'm going to get Kane and Vardy game week 2, or will you go? Give them a bit more time, because that's going to be the conundrum.
A couple of games.
You will. Okay.
But it depends. I mean, he's absolutely woeful against Bournemouth. I mean, that's a good marker, isn't it? A player like Ibrahimovic, and the Bournemouth backline keeps him in their pockets. Well, I mean, that says a lot. And then give him one more game. Is it? Against Southampton, am I right in saying?
It's Southampton at home.
So once again, but once again, it's a different Southampton, different manager. So we don't know. We just don't know. So, but that's it. It's the money, the price. It's flexibility. This is something that Jurgen Klopp and King Griffin to community members ask us, whether it's important to spread the funds, be flexible, or not worry about that, and perhaps focus on heavy hitters. Well, yeah, I'm doing that. Being flexible. Focus on the heavy hitters. Might be wrong about Ibrahimovic, but I'd much prefer to be wrong and then just simply get Kane or Vardy in, or if I didn't have him, and then what do you do? Perhaps a bit of surgery. It's massive.
Yeah, I do think though this already we're seeing the essence of the way you and I play the game differently. In that I do think the fear factor of his rise in value is playing on your mind, because you're a big advocate in covering high-owned players, and Villawonka, he does as well. It's a very good technique. The very best do it, so I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying straight away, this looks like that kind of theory, that method of playing coming to the fore, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But that's what we have this every year. Fantasy Premier League is not actually real football. It's not actually looking at certain players.
Really?
No, yeah, it's a game of juggling 15 spaces around, who all backed up with stats and do various things on a Saturday.
You're belittling my inner beliefs completely.
and that's it. So I don't see Ibrahimovic as this gigantic Swedish goal machine. I just see him as a good kind of counter in a game.
He's just a piece of meat with some numbers.
He's just a piece of meat to me. That's all he is. He's a big Swedish piece of meat. and that's all he is, and that's how I'll treat him. So if he lets me down, he's off.
You are ruthless, absolutely ruthless. I like to get attached to. I like to invite my players around for tea on a Sunday. I like a bit of little camaraderie.
The thing is, can I just put something to you, Jonty? Because you talk about Ibrahimovic, but there's also some other big hitters which you won't have up front, like Kane. Like Harry Kane and I guess Vardy counts as a big hitter.
Yeah. Now. So who are you scared of? Come on.
I'm scared of Vardy, Leicester. So Poodle asks. Poodle is a person who has asked this question. Is not having any Leicester coverage a disaster waiting to happen? I have no Leicester coverage. I think it could be a disaster. They're against Hull, who are terrible, managerless.
Yeah.
Kane pre-season, but ultimately they just haven't. You know, they haven't got any swagger about them. They haven't got any preparation behind them. And Vardy always looks dangerous. And Mahrez now, so I wasn't so worried about Mahrez, but now it looks like he's staying for the season. So there's no
stop doing that. You're switching the camera.
Any transfer speculation gone about him. So that's all out of his head. All he's going to focus on is scoring against Hull. So those two are. So while I've been banging about Ibrahimovic, one thing I might do, because I am so worried about Vardy, to the extent of that particular game, is do something quite I don't like to do, is have a transfer in mind, basically construct my team with Ibrahimovic, get Vardy in for that first game. I've got that money in the bank. I can then switch, because I don't actually fancy Vardy for game week 2.
Okay,
I don't like doing that, so I probably won't. But
surely the time to have him is game week 1, because game week 1 is the give me, isn't it? Away to Hull. That's the one where you do one.
Yeah, that is one I want. But I don't really want Vardy long term as such. The other player.
Sorry, I think Vardy's fixtures are actually pretty. I don't think they're as bad as they look.
They're good.
Yeah, I think you've got Hull away, who everyone assumes they're going to be awful. Arsenal have got defensive issues, especially at centre back. Swansea have just lost Williams, and then they got Burnley after Liverpool at home. So I think the first opening 5 for Vardy, whether he'll outscore Ibrahimovic is remains to be seen. But he's 1.5 million cheaper. He looked pretty decent in pre-season. Looks pretty up for it against United as well. So I think the fixtures are actually all right.
I do wonder whether. I mean, I presume that Musa is going to play behind Vardy.
I don't know. I like to think he will. I mean, you would think he'll go to Hull and counter-attack with pace, but it's not a given. It's not a given.
No, it isn't. But if he does, then Musa could be the one to have actually rather than Vardy. I think he's 7.5. I have been looking at him. He's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, he's 7.5. For me, it's all. I'm going Mahrez in midfield. Yeah. So it's interesting. This is what I mean about this season. I think already it looks more appealing, and I think obviously we're scared of Ibra. Jonty, you've got Ibra, but you're not going to be covering Leicester, so you've got very real fears there. Andy, what camp do you fall into?
So Ibra would be the one I'd have to be scared of, simply due. I wouldn't say I'm scared of anyone. Like at the start of the season, anything could happen. But Ibra, just because of ownership, and like Jonty said, he's a United player, so if he does well, he's going to go up straight away.
Yeah.
I actually have Vardy right now. So I think while there isn't a kind of a template for players right now, maybe there is kind of like a price structure template, I'd say. And so he's, apart from Aguero, obviously, he's my one. I've decided not to get Kane right now, although I am probably a bit worried about him too. So he's fairly high owned, and he scored 20 goals 2 seasons in a row. So
see, I'm gambling on Kane, and Jonty, I know what you're going to do here. I know what's coming.
Some questions. There's some questions here. Mark Harborough asks, is it worth waiting on Kane until Dembele's back? So Dembele's suspended the first few games, and Zofa asked on the same theme, Ali versus Eriksen. So here is the stats.
Okay, Jonty, do you want to go over this Dembele thing?
I have a counter for this afterwards. I have a counter.
It's well known, isn't it? It's well known.
What it is. Yeah. Whenever Dembele didn't play, Spurs were terrible, and Harry Kane in particular was. That is a fact. But what is disputed? Why? So there's lots of reasons. One is that Ali plays further back, and Kane, the sense is he needs Ali. Also, Dembele sets up that play. He's that key man who sets up the play. The other thing that seemed to be happening was that Kane himself was dropping deeper, so he wasn't having so many shots in the box. He was having to shoot from a bit further out. So all of these things were happening. This is a new season. So Ali could be playing further forward. It could be Dyer and Mason. It could be Dyer and Wanyama. I'm not sure if Wanyama's ready to go yet. So that could leave Ali there. So Chadley was in that kind of role. So the stat is Kane 1 goal in the 9 games Dembele was missing, 24 in the ones where Dembele played. So that's quite a big difference.
I'm still not having it, Jonty. I just think Kane's too good a player for that. But I do. One thing I am worried about is Janssen playing and Kane dropping deep. I mean, they're talking about maybe playing 2 up front. And we've seen Kane dropping back into the 10 role if that is the case. And where does that leave Ali? I don't know. Maybe he will be in the pivot. But I'm going Kane. Granville, what are you doing? Are you going in as well?
Well, I did actually have the same as you, but I switched today. I may have switched, but I had Kane and Mahrez.
What do you mean the same as me? How do you know what I've got?
Because you told me.
Oh, okay. What did I do that for?
Yeah. And so I felt I didn't need to copy it. No, the thing is, I look at Kane. The opposite of that is Vardy and Ali, and you get to save a couple of million and upgrade it somewhere else. So it just depends on Ali really, because I'm just as confident on Kane as I am in Vardy. It's just that, is Ali as good as Mahrez? I'm not convinced, and that's where you may not be getting the you may not be getting the value. So it's I think it's tricky. It's one of those that could definitely go wrong. But Vardy's the one on penalties now, isn't he?
Well, we think so. We think. I mean, it might be that he was just chasing the golden boot and got them, but I don't think we can be certain. But I would say that would most likely be the case. I'm still going Mahrez though. I just think he's a magician, and I'm worried about the troubles. I'm worried about the transfer speculation. He is staying, but I wonder if it's played on his mind. But 9.5, I still think is value.
It will put me off if Musa looks like he's going to start. It will put me off Vardy slightly, because just the fact that Musa is so much cheaper and he could be stealing the goals.
No, I don't see it. I think Musa's going to end up wide. Andy, talk about Kane. You're turning your back on him and gone Vardy. You're pretty happy with that, or are you worried about it?
A bit worried, because I think double check. I think Kane's about 20% owned or something. Yeah, nearly 20%. So, he could hurt in the first few. They got a decent fixture second time. But in terms of the Dembele thing, now obviously it does look pretty kind of concrete. But Ludo actually put a hot topic up recently about Spurs, and he said there was another similarity. So when Dembele didn't play, Ali also didn't play in the front three. So his argument is that it's actually Ali causing Kane the issues, not Dembele. And hopefully, with Wanyama and Carroll and Mason, whoever, Ali will still be able to play in that front three. So, if it's Ali that's the issue and not Dembele, maybe Kane will start strong this time. But I don't think I'm going to go with him. I could easily get the million just by downgrading the defender, but I fancy starting with Vardy, and I'm kind of, after last season, determined to get a goal from him.
So you've gone Vardy, but you haven't gone Mahrez. Is that the case?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think I've doubled on any attackers.
I don't think Mahrez played that well in Charity Shield. He's another one who I wasn't that impressed with.
No, I agree. Yeah. I agree, but I think United did a decent job on him in that game. Luke Shaw played well, and I just think Hull. He's going to be up against Robertson at left back. He was one of their better players, fair enough, but I just think they're gonna really stretch them. I mean, John T, so you're avoiding Kane at the moment, and that's fair enough. But this is the beauty, though. What I put to you here now, John T, is that Ibrahimovic has come in and taken 30% or 39% ownership, and that has taken the ownership away from Kane and Vardy, who remain fantastic options. So already, the insertion of a player like that is going to make a big difference to the season, because suddenly Vardy and Kane, not differentials, they could, if they spring into form and Ibrahimovic doesn't, there's going to be shifts all over the place. It's already, I think, more exciting, don't you think, because of what Zlatan's introduced.
I'm really excited about this season, because more than I was last season, because this season there's options suddenly. Manchester United have options. Wow, they've got a good manager finally, and they've got players like Ibrahimovic. They've got midfielders to choose from, defenders. We didn't have any of this last time. So this is a whole new array of players to choose from. You mentioned Chelsea as well. So Costa's still hanging on in there, still a good striker, and then Hazard could be back. So suddenly you've got perhaps Chelsea doing better, and then suddenly you got Man City, you got Arsenal, you got Liverpool, all with these premium midfielders or strikers, perhaps on Liverpool's front, more on the midfield front. All of these options. We didn't have a lot of that last season.
No, it didn't seem to be the case, did it?
We didn't bother with Chelsea. We didn't bother with Manchester United.
They're a big loss.
All we need is for Aguero to pick up his injury, and then we've got more choice.
Yeah.
And 30
that's true.
Spend.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. I mean, at the moment, Aguero, it's an open and shut case for him, I think. I mean, hands up if you got Aguero. Of course, we've all got him.
I mean, everyone.
Yeah, so and it's going to be the case on FFS, and we're probably all going to captain him, and we'll talk about it at the end of the show. But elsewhere, there's a lot of variety, I think. There's no right or wrong answers at the moment, it seems. A few weeks in, we'll probably have our own ideas about it, but premium midfielders, Jonty. FIFA King asked about them, doesn't he? We touched on it just now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we mentioned some of the key names. Hazard, we mentioned. We've mentioned Mahrez as well. I want to talk about Liverpool, actually. I mean, I've got Firmino in my side. And everyone looked at those fixtures for Liverpool. You know, and it's a bit of a horror show, really. You've got Arsenal away, Burnley away. Okay, that's okay. But then Tottenham away and Leicester at home. So that's not a great first four. But I look at Firmino, I look at pre-season, and I'm looking at that Liverpool have had a very strong pre-season. I think that they've got a very good season ahead of them because they've got European distractions. So it's going to be, and also Firmino is seen as a favourite of Klopp. He's always talking about him, how integral he is. He's up against a pretty decimated Arsenal side, so I think that's quite a good fixture for him. But then they've got Mane as well. He's a little bit more. He costs a tiny bit more. And then they've got, well, I'm personally not interested in Coutinho, but I can see why some people are. So they've got those options there. And then you look at, I mean, we've mentioned Spurs as well, mentioned Ali, and then you've got Eriksen as well. You know, these are
it's a tough choice. It's a tough choice. All these choices.
And so, I mean, as I say, I have this thing about Dembele, so I'm not so worried about Spurs early on. Could be proved wrong, in which case I can downgrade very easily. But Liverpool. I like the way they prepared in pre-season. I think Manchester United and Manchester City and Spurs to some degree. I know they beat Milan, Inter, but they haven't had a good pre-season. They've hardly had any games, and whereas Liverpool have been really going for it. So yeah, that for me, premium midfielders. I think people should ignore the fixtures, go form.
I've got to say, Firmino is the dullard choice, but I'm going with him. At the moment, he's in my team. Granville, who have you got in there? I mean, Mkhitaryan, are you thinking about that?
No, I did have him, but I've switched him to Martial.
Right.
Just quickly back to Firmino. I mean, he might actually be playing up front.
Yeah.
Because I think is Sturridge available?
No, he's got an injury. He's not going to feature at Arsenal. I can't see it. Firmino will be in the false nine at Arsenal.
Right. Now that I don't think is good for him. I think he needs to be a bit further back. So I don't think that'll help at all. Martial's my sort of premium midfielder, as well as Ali or Mahrez, whichever way I go.
Okay.
But, I'm just I'm quite happy with the team. I don't really want to take anyone out now to try and make way for another player. It makes you think. You start thinking too hard about it. Then you think, oh no, I need to go with my original choice. But I made the changes today, and I think I might keep it. The only change that I may make is at the back. There's a few options I can go with.
Andy, what about you? Premium mids, who have you gone for?
Currently, I'm sitting on Hazard and Ali, but Ali was Firmino about an hour before we came on, so I'm kind of going between two. I'm actually quite surprised you haven't got Mane.
Yeah, I mean, I love him, don't I? I had him round for dinner after that hat trick. I took him out a few times. Took him to a few theme parks. I love the guy, but it's Firmino. I mean, Jonty's convinced me weeks ago about him, and Klopp loves him. He absolutely loves him. And I don't agree with Granville about the false nine. I think he did well in that role last year. He got goals, so 8-5. And Arsenal's defensive woes just seal it for me. So I'd like to go Mane. My heart says Mane. My head says Firmino, basically.
Yeah, I think Mane at 9 million is a good price. I just think it's hard to overlook Firmino when you can save 0.5. And I think you're right. I think someone put stats up saying that he actually was much better maybe not much better, but he was better when he played false nine. So at the start of the season, could be really good.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, Jonty, moving on. What we got?
Yeah. Well, let's move down the price bracket a little bit. Fillers. So. Seymour Bling asks, who are the best third and fourth midfielders? So he's really looking at these kind of 7.5, 7 million, 6.5, 6 million.
Lower.
And then also a bit below as well. So let's go for, let's not go for fifth, but yeah, fourth midfielder. So he's kind of 5.5 midfielders.
Well, Andy's got his name to the mast already, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Nathan Redmond, Andy, tell me about it.
I mean, Southampton's open in 5. I think they got 3 decent enough home games. Redmond's been playing as a striker in pre-season. Puel has been talking him up as well today.
Yeah, all the time, every chance he gets.
Yeah. So I read earlier that he was the guy that maybe found Henry or something at the start as well. So Redmond could be Henry maybe this season.
The thing is, are you going to play him though, Andy? Because if he's your fifth midfielder, and
He's 4.
Number 4.
He's 6 million. Yeah. I just think I'm actually going to try and play maybe a bit more sensible this season. But Redmond at 6 million out of position for Southampton, I just can't resist that. I think if it goes belly up, then what have you really lost at 6 million? I think he's an easy player to transfer out.
Yeah, I've got him too. I think it makes perfect sense. I like Tadic. He's a luxury item there, but Redmond's just too. I want to see how it goes, and for 6 million, it's worth a go, isn't it? Jonty, are you on that bandwagon?
I'm on the Tadic bandwagon.
You love Tadic.
I've got those misty-eyed memories.
You're going to hold Tadic till game week 8.
Game week 8. Where he scored 20 goals and assisted a further 30, all in the first half an hour. Incredible.
Jonty, have you looked at game week 8 yet?
I'm saving it for a surprise for me.
United play Liverpool and City play Everton.
We've got to have a special ScoutCast for game.
But Tadic plays Burnley, so there you go.
Tadic, Burnley, captain.
Bournemouth playing Hull. Yeah, it's a bit of Wilson action there.
Well, I mean, you're talking about your Redmond, so I've splashed out a little bit of extra cash on Tadic. I think he's worth it. He's at the tip of a diamond midfield, and he's in an attacking role. He's on penalties as well. And he had some quite good stats last season, he racked up the points.
He's a good option.
The last 8 game weeks or so, him, Antonio Valencia, were pretty much ignored by everyone. They were the highest scoring players. They were like invisible. It's like they were wearing disguises.
No, it was because the template was set in stone. That's why everyone was scared to get rid of Payet.
Everyone ignored them. Meanwhile, every week they were racking up these, and I was looking at them and thinking, why aren't I getting them in? And I was saying, I'm holding on to these. And then the season ended and completely missed out on all their points. So so I'm making up for lost time. Tadic in my team.
Okay. I had a quick look at what he scored last season, and I think he's like you say, he's probably gone under the radar. In 2,300 minutes, he got a combined 21 assists and goals.
Yeah.
There's only 1 less than Ali, who played more. And there was actually 3 more than Firmino, who did play slightly less. So he's kind of up there for 1 million less than Ali and
this is why I was worried about doing the ScoutCast, because I know I came into the ScoutCast and my team settled. I'm going to go out and I was going to have 4 hours of surgery and go to bed.
Can I unsettle you further then?
Yeah, go on.
See, I've got a mid-price midfielder, Andre Ayew, and I know that you like him, especially after last season.
Yeah.
And and he's going to be the focal point of the Swansea team, I think.
He would be if he's at West Ham. He's at West Ham.
Yeah. Sorry, West Ham. Sorry.
He would have been. He was in my team.
He would be. Yeah. And he was in your team when he was at Swansea.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't fancy him now that he's really.
So you fancy him still at West Ham, do you? You think he's going to end up playing? I think he will end up playing up front when Carroll's injured. But when does Andy Carroll get injured? So,
oh yeah.
No, he will. I think he will end up playing up front.
Well,
you're seriously backing Ayew, are you?
I am. I just can't resist him at 7. I know there's Tadic, and I have been thinking about him, but I think he's just a bit more. He's great in the air. He scores goals. I think he'll score more goals than Tadic. Put it that way. Yeah, maybe not the assists, but he'll be on the end of things, definitely. And also, I mean, for Swansea, he didn't always play up. He didn't always play up front. He played sort of a wide forward position.
Yeah, tucking inside, and he'll play for West Ham. It's just, I mean, obviously, if you go Ayew, you're not going to go Payet. Now, no one's mentioned Payet.
Yeah.
And yet he had a fantastic Euros, fantastic season.
It is surprise.
None of us got Payet. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
There's 2 reasons why I haven't got Payet. One is I'm not convinced he's going to start the first game, which is away to Chelsea. So that's not great anyway. So it's one of these we can wait and see. Now, they had a tough start last season and they still did okay. The other thing is their fixtures are really on-off, a bit like Southampton. So I've gone for Tadic 7.5, which are fine because Southampton, fixture-wise, got Watford at home, then tricky one, Man U away, Sunderland at home, hooray. Arsenal away. Well, West Ham, they dovetail them. So one thing is this kind of rotation as well that people are talking about. But with West Ham, is they've got exactly the same, but in reverse. So they've got Chelsea away, that's bad. Bournemouth at home, woo. Manchester City away, ooh. Then Watford at home. So for a player like Payet, who's 9.5, I think he is I want better fixtures like that. I want to be really, really on him every game, and I'm not sure I'd want to play him in every game there. Whereas with Tadic, 7.5, so it's okay because it's that price is okay. Having said that, I'm going to keep an eye on Payet. And also talk about his Euros. I did some of the Euro fantasy games. And in terms of goals, assists and stuff, he actually wasn't that good. So in fantasy terms, he was good at the beginning, and then he just tailed off.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough.
So
it's again, Payet, another name that we can afford to go without because there's so much choice, and it's just great.
The thing is, he's 9.5. I just think it's. I mean, you've got to make a choice, really, and I've made a choice to go for Spurs midfielder instead, and that's And I looked at someone like Ayew, and because he's 2 million less, you can just about afford to take the risk. I think West Ham's fixtures are actually good because their home fixtures are good. You don't have to play them away, but the home fixtures are good enough to actually pick.
And they're playing in that stadium, of course, and you've got to think that. Well, we presume it's going to lift them in some way, or they're going to want to settle. I don't know. Who knows how that's going to affect them? It's very difficult to say. Let's look at
also they're playing Monday and Sunday, so that's another reason to have a West Ham player.
Let's look at the budget options. Let's go right down to 5-4-5. I've got a 4-5 midfielder. Has anybody else got one? I'll put my name out there. I'm going Kapui because he seems to be getting forward more in pre-season. I'm forced to have a 4-5 midfielder. I don't normally like to do that, but I think I'm going to this year, and I've gone Kapui. Has anyone else got that?
Yeah,
exactly the same.
Well, you've all got Kapui. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, there's two reasons I've got him. One is I think he'll play, and in pre-season he has been very effective. He's actually playing quite an advanced role. He's got 2 goals. He's got a goal, I think. Or is it 2? No, he's actually got 2 goals. So he's got 2 goals. So already he's looking quite nice and settled there. I'm not sure I'd play him with those fixtures, but it's nice to have that. That's what you want for your 4.5 player. I mean, the other reason is that flexibility. I've had enough of rotating. So I mean, listeners to the Scoutcast will know the troubles I've had with Wes Houlihan and Jason Punchin over the years. And I've benched them. All of their goals I've benched.
Where are we going to have our fun if you don't?
Doesn't work with me. So I'm just going to bench Kapui. Yes, I might miss out on his goals, but he's a 4.5 midfielder. So
Granville, you're going with him as well.
Well, no, I'm not. And I tell you what, I mean, the thing is, my team I've just changed, but my 4.5 million midfielder was actually Darren Fletcher. Just a non-player, obviously non-player. He plays, but
that's got Johnson rubbing his hands with Dullard.
I can't believe that. That's out. That's.
But it was like, me. But I still couldn't resist taking him out, and I put Matt Phillips in instead, and I think he's a good option. I mean, he's 5.5 though. He's more expensive. Can you hear me?
Yeah, totally hear you. The thing is, though, Matt Phillips is he going to be playing right back, centre back? He's not going to be playing anywhere forward, is he? I mean, he's in his West Brom team. I don't know where the goal is. That's the only thing. I like him, but I just worry about West Brom scoring goals. I think he's their best option.
Yeah, I think he's their best option. He won't. I mean, I won't be playing him every week, but I think he's the best option actually. I think he's better than Morrison. Morrison would probably be playing behind behind the striker, maybe even McManaman, I'm not sure, but I think Phillips would definitely start, and he's got a bit of pedigree in the Premier League. He played a couple of seasons ago. He got
8 goals last season. I think he got 8 assists for QPR when he was in this division in the top flight before. I had him for a few weeks, but their pre-season put me off. They haven't scored in pre-season. The Berahino thing rumbles on. They haven't really signed on with goals, and Rondon is their best bet. Might progress this year, but I want Phillips to do well. I had him in my team, but I've gone Townsend and Redmond as my 2. As my 3 and 4 midfielders, and Kapui as my 5th. Townsend, no?
My 4th one is Deulofeu. Yeah, I'm a sucker for punishment, and I did get punished last year with him. But I think in the position that he'd be playing, probably in a number 10 position, I think he's good. The only thing that bothers me about him is getting substituted. He'll get substituted a lot. Because he doesn't quite have the stamina that other players have got. So I could see that happening, but I think he's good. And I'm not sure what's happening with Lukaku, because it sounds like he's not going to be playing the first game.
Right, he might be out. It might be a red herring. Zoffa asked about Feghouli versus Ramirez. I actually fancy Ramirez, Jonty, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's funny, Granville mentioning Phillips. He's currently my 5.5 midfielder. Phillips. And one of the reasons is I've been looking at. I think with that kind of role, I think you can look at fixtures a bit. And and when you're looking at it, I'm looking at that kind of 5.5 million role. I'm basically looking at West Brom and Middlesbrough. They've got the absolute lovely run in the games, in the first few games, and Middlesbrough in particular. So Phillips is one I'm definitely looking at. Ramirez as well. Gaston Ramirez was very good for Middlesbrough last year. So it's good to see he's back. The man from Fray Bentos is back. And also Fisher as well. He's looking good. I think he's definitely going to start the first game. So you've got all these options. Then you've got Faguli as well. So I've already said about the rotation possibilities. And Redmond, Faguli, that looks to me like a good one. I haven't personally gone for it. But if I saw that in a team, I'd think they've really done their homework because they have looked at some perfect rotation, two good, very attacking players, and you can play them for those wonderful home games. That's a great thing, I think.
The thing is, though, if Redmond ends up front, I don't know if I'm going to want to rotate him. That's the thing. So we'll see. It's an option. Okay, let's move on to strikers. I think we've got a question about third strikers, haven't we, Jaunty?
Yeah, third strikers. So I've had a little look at Rate My Team computer because
you get out professional stuff.
And what it shows really is just how much choice there is. It's absolutely loads in that kind. In the 6.5 in particular, so many of them. So I mean, the computer has looked at fixtures and thinks Rondon is going to get some goals, and indeed he did get goals in easy fixtures last season. So Llorente at Swansea is another option. Personally, I think that's a bit of a no-go. But then you've got Middlesbrough, so you've got Negredo, and then you've got Rhodes as well. And Rhodes has been banging in the goals, 5, I think, pre-season.
But it's got Wickham and Carroll as well. Interesting options because they're players who have a trouble staying on the pitch or getting on the pitch, but when they are on there, they're effective.
And the player that I've gone for, and I suspect a hell of a lot of people watching this have gone for, is Gray at Burnley. 9 goals in pre-season. Everyone is thinking, new Charlie Austin, here we go, Danny Ings, this is great, cheap striker, he's going to keep banging them in, doesn't matter if Burnley keep losing, as long as Gray scores. I think he will. If I'm wrong, go back to that flexibility again. Well, we've got all these other 6.5 forwards.
Yeah, there's so many. It's price really. Andy, you got Andrew Gray? I guess you have.
I do, but I don't know if I'm going to have him at the start. I kind of like, and this is going to depend on if I think he's going to start, is Shane Long. I think he did well last season. Again, like I said about Redmond, Southampton don't have the worst fixtures to start. And if Shane Long's the one to partner Redmond up front, then I think he could be pretty decent. I think
you're going to go to pair of them then?
That's what it sounds like. I mean, maybe there's a Southampton fan around that knows more than me, but it does sound like he's going to start with those two. The last 2 games they started, Austin played in the under-21s or under-23s the other day.
No, he's definitely going to start with those two.
Yeah.
Watford, but it's
I think Shane Long could do well. Yeah, that's the only thing. Because another one's Andy Carroll, but like Granville, I've got IU, so I don't know if I want to double there. Yeah. But yeah, Gray does seem to be the bandwagon of choice, that's for sure. But I kind of like Shane Long.
See, I haven't got any of those. I've got, as usual, I'm different. I've got Callum Wilson.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great pick, though, Granville. I had him last season. He got 5 goals in the first 6. I think it's a sound choice.
Yeah, I mean, the fixtures aren't that great, and to be honest with you, Bournemouth's fixtures certainly not as good as some other options. But I think he looked so impressive last season before he got his injury. I thought he just made. I mean, Bournemouth were ticking at that point, and he was just on the end of everything. So nippy and clinical.
I just wonder if the injury is going to affect him at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. I mean, it does. You never know.
So, Granville, you're going to play him against United, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am going to play him against United, I think, unless I end up changing Phillips for, say, Capoue or somebody who I'm not going to play. Sorry. Yeah, if I'm going to play. Actually, I might not start Wilson. I might start Phillips instead.
Okay. I was going to say, playing him against your team is, odd one. Jonty, next question. We look at defenders.
Yeah, so looking at we look at expensive ones and budget ones as well. So let's go back to a couple of players that were mentioned, Luke Shaw and Valencia. So, I mean, I think, Fantasy Freak asks, Shaw versus Valencia. 5.5, both 5.5. They both seem to have the left back and the right back nailed on, we think, for Manchester United. Manchester United have a very good set of early fixtures, clean sheet possibilities, and particularly, I think, in Valencia's case, lots of assist potential. So yeah, Fantasy Freak is right to ask about that. For me, I've gone for Valencia because I mentioned about the end of last season. So
that surprises me, John T. I thought Shaw was a dullard choice, and you've gone.
See, I mean, you talk about ownership, but I also look at other things like who I think is the best player as well. And I happen to think, having seen Valencia at the end of last season, I thought he was a rare bright spark in attack, even though he's a defender.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right, but I thought you would go. Shaw looks the most secure for me because if Darmian's going to be a factor, it'll be at right back. I would have thought. Maybe not, but I thought you'd go Shaw. So that shocked me. But I think Valencia is my pick as well. Granville, what's your view on this?
Shaw 17.9% ownership. Valencia 7.6%. So I'm surprised too.
But what have you gone for? You gone Shaw?
I've got Shaw. Yeah.
Oh,
he was. I think he was actually the first player I picked.
Yeah, I had Shaw. I changed him a week ago to Valencia. After the Community Shield, I just thought there was more evidence that Valencia's more effective going forward. For me, Martial's hugging that left-hand side, and Shaw's not able to get forward as much. On the other side, Lingard or maybe Mata, he's coming inside more, and it just gives him that channel. So for me, I'm going Valencia. I think it's a risk, which is why Jonty's choice surprises me. Andy, you're a United fan. Call this one.
Yeah, so Shaw was one of the guys that I was always going to have in my team before we even saw prices and stuff. But I've actually got Valencia too. It just seems that the end of last year, like Johnny said, he absolutely mopped up bonus and stuff, played really well. And last year, Van Gaal kind of had him, as was his way. Any time he got close to the byline, he stopped, turned, passed it inside. Whereas under Mourinho, he seems to have license to actually cross. So with Ibrahimovic in there, I think he could be picking up quite a few assists. So there is the risk of Darmian, but Mourinho before has always used the same defence and very rarely changed.
Well, this is it. I refer the honourable gentleman to the Ivanovic case where he was useless for all season, but he kept him in at right back. So people say about Valencia, and I'm a little worried, but then maybe not, because if you turn a blind eye to Ivanovic defending...
No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree that he's going to his first choice.
Yeah. Okay, that's a seal. All done then. The only one who's against it is Granville with Shaw. Fair enough. I wasn't expecting that, John T. What else have we got there? Go on.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're looking at Costa's Counsellors asks because defence are taking a while to settle down. Is it wise just go for some cheap defenders? So basically, it's asking about cheap defenders. So should we be going them? So once again, I've had a look at the Rate My Team computer. Started that up there, and what's it say? Well, we've got absolutely loads of great 4.5 options.
See, I've gone for both the ones at the top there.
Yeah, so you've got Friend at Middlesbrough. He's going to be our friend because he looks like he's got attacking points. And Middlesbrough at home, what a lovely run of fixtures they've got. Stoke at home, Sunderland away, West Brom away, Crystal Palace at home, so there's going to be some clean sheets there. He looks absolutely great. And you've gone for Johnny Evans then as well.
I know, against better judgment. I had Macaulay, but I've put Evans in now.
If there's one thing that you can take from any season, it is Tony Pulis teams will keep clean sheets.
Yeah, but equally, you take the Johnny Evans never stays fit for more than 10 minutes. That's the other thing.
Yeah. So, the thing is, the reason why I haven't gone for him is because my goalkeeper is Foster. I just didn't want another West Brom player in there. I mean, I've gone my other four. I imagine we've all got Friend in our team. Is that right?
Yeah.
Looks that way, doesn't it?
It's such an obvious pick. But the other one I've gone for, and again, it's probably a bit of a flare, is Lamine Kone.
I think it's a great pick because if he goes to Everton 4-5, and it looks like Koeman could play. If he gets Kone as well, he's going to play free at the back, isn't he? I think so. I think Kone is a great pick, and he may yet get in my team as well because he's such a he's a big unit at set pieces. Moyes knows how to use set pieces, and he could end up at Everton. Andy, you got him as well, have you?
Yeah, I got Kone. I actually kind of want him to stay at Sunderland. So I just worry that if Koeman doesn't play three at the back, then they've suddenly got four defenders who might play, and I'd really like Williams. So my preference is that he stays at Sunderland because under Moyes could make him a bit more defensively sound, and they've got a pretty good, decent run at the start. So he's my other 4.5. But I've actually got two 5.5. So are you guys not looking at those kind of players at all?
Yeah, I've got Valencia and Van Dijk first game because I like Southampton's fixture.
So I've got someone who was like popular last year, and he's just really for fixtures. Is Scott Dan.
Yeah, I absolutely love Scott Dan. Absolutely love any centre back in Pardew's team. I think they got 12 goals on set pieces last year, Jonty. Is that right?
Yeah, he was their. I mean, they didn't score that many in the whole, but he was their joint top scorer. So that says something about the way they play. Yeah, I mean, Andy asked about. I mean, I did have until the beginning of this week. I actually had Luke Shaw and Valencia. I think there's so many clean sheets there, and I think they're both going to be coming at teams on the sides. I thought, why not? And you can always get rid of the one that's not working out. But then John Stones moved to Man City. Yeah. I think he'll play. I think $5 million for a regular starter in the Man City defence. I like the look of that.
It's funny though, isn't it? It's like none of us would consider the City defence, but money talks. As soon as they get a $5 million defender, we're like, oh yeah, we fancy that.
Absolutely. But I mean, it seems to go wrong quite often though. I remember Johnny Evans is a classic where because he's so cheap and because he plays for a big team when he's playing for United, he seemed to be the obvious choice. It doesn't always work out like that. I mean, I've just gone safety. I mean, I've just gone for John Terry. I don't see. I mean, like Chelsea, they're going to be tight surely at the back. Comes up for corner. He's going to be there or thereabouts. I think, but in most teams, no. Yeah, no.
I thing is, I've gone Virgil van Dijk 5-5 for the first game, with 0-5 in the bank to go Azpilicueta after that, because I just think Dave is great. I like him. I like a Chelsea fullback. But yeah, Terry's got the only thing with Terry is as soon as Zumar's fit, it's good night Vienna, isn't it? Surely.
Well, it's not just going to get back in. It depends on how many clean sheets. If they don't get clean sheets, I'll get rid of them anyway. But if they're keeping clean sheets, then it's not going to switch him. Captain the team, not immediately. I mean, it may be Cahill that gives way anyway.
Yeah, might be. We'll see. John T, where do you stand on the Chelsea defence?
Yeah, I've Azpilicueta all the way. No, I can't afford him, but I wish I did have some money because he's a player I like. I think he'll do well. It's something actually. Touching on the three at the back, because this applies to Chelsea as well. So DJ Pete asks, is three at the back here to stay? And the reason he asked that is because we've got three managers at Chelsea, Everton and Watford who either all the time, and Stoke as well. So you've now got four teams that could be playing three at the back.
Yeah, it's all about wing-backs. All about wing-backs this season.
So what that means is suddenly you've got wing-backs. So you've got the problem there. You've possibly got midfield. You've got midfielders in those roles. So they'll be attacking but slightly out of position, not in a good way. But the other thing is you've suddenly got loads of centre-backs available. So we've mentioned, say, John Terry. So yeah, you think Zuma's coming back. Well, maybe that's not a problem. Maybe that's a chance to go through at the back. Maybe it's John Terry's in the team for the rest of the season if he's fit.
Yeah, okay, so wing backs, right? The scenario here, the dream scenario here, Seamus Coleman, Leighton Baines. Talk to me about that, John T. Come on.
Well, I think that's. I think with Koeman though, as he did at Southampton, the three at the back is not like his preferred option. He just tailors it to whoever he's playing. He played against Manchester United, so you can see him doing it against maybe some tougher teams. Or particular teams, particular style, but it's not all the time. But I think Leighton Baines is a good option, but I think he's in the twilight of his career. He's not the player he was. I prefer the younger Seamus Coleman.
Yeah.
Come on, Sir Leighton, come on, Andy, give it to me. Come on.
If he's not on free kicks and penalties, wasn't that like part of the charm? Like, if it's just him and assists, then I think Coleman could be right up there with him. And Coleman's got, there's a reason that we call him Goalman. So
I'm just clinging to the past, aren't I? Granville, what's your view?
Yeah, but Coleman last season. I don't know what happened to Coleman last season, but he didn't really produce at all. Maybe he had a few injuries, he had a few problems, but it does show the shift in stands though. If you look at John Terry, 5.5, he was 7.5 2 years ago. Baines, 5.5, again 7.5 2 years ago. Now, 2 years on, I mean, they've still got it. I don't know, probably doubt it, but I think I know Coleman's probably going to be missing anyway the first game. I'd probably pick Baines, actually. But
wouldn't it be great? I mean, we talked about choice in midfield and attack. If wing-backs happen at Everton, suddenly those two Everton defenders come back into it as well. This could be an incredible season for these reasons that we've given. I think, we're getting excited, but I think we've got every reason. Last year we got excited because of the chips and we saw the double game weeks coming. This year, we're getting excited for an even better reason. This isn't a rule change. This is actual the players, the content of the game that we're given, it just looks so rich this year. It's just fantastic. Next question, Granville. Now, Jonty, sorry, what am I talking about?
We've got a couple of questions left. So, first one, let's have a look at this. Just one quickly about Swansea as well, because Swansea
You're talking about Sigurdsson, aren't you, basically?
Well, they're kind of Villa for 2 years ago. They're starting to offload all the good players, but they're keeping hold of one. So IE gone, Williams gone. Okay, well that's big problems in attack and defence there. So yeah, they've got some new strikers in. So they've got basically an Atletico Madrid reject. He's been out on loan. He scored a lot out on loan last 3 seasons, but he's been out on loan. So you wonder why that is. And they've got Llorente as well. So another yesterday's man, on top of was it Pelosi and Eder that they brought in so expertly last season. For me, my predictions, I think Swansea are going down. I think they'll either just miss out on the drop or they're down. And that's the end of them for me.
The thing is, if relying on these 2 strikers settling, how's it going to work with Sigurdsson, who wants to play in the number 10 role? Can he play number 10 with 2 strikers in front of him? Is he going to play 2 strikers? They've got a lot of problems. Williams is the loss, though. I mean, to me, when you look at the numbers, I mean, Jonty, you live in these stats. He's been keeping Swansea afloat, hasn't he?
Well, I said he
blocks about 4 goals a match.
Yeah, clearances, blocks, and interceptions. CBI. Williams is top every year, and he was top this year. He's absolutely a legend.
Yeah.
You know, how many goals has he prevented? Him personally. And then, towards the end of last season, he started scoring them as well.
Yeah, he did. Granville, he's not a legend in fantasy terms, but he is on the pitch.
He had 300 clearances last season. It was just like immense, absolutely immense. Yeah, they're going to really miss him. I don't know why. I don't understand. I don't understand actually why he's left, but there you go. I mean, he was like the main man. Doesn't always work out. 31 should have stayed. No. It could be good for us though, because Matt might be playing at centre back, and he's a 4 million. He's the 4 million defender. And we've people asking like all summer, about 4 million defenders. There isn't one, and I think one might have come up.
Yeah, I think Van der Horn and Fernandes are going to be the first choice, but we'll have to see. But I think Williams at Everton as well. Again, if he does to Everton what he was doing at Swansea, then again, Baines and Coleman, it's going to be clean sheets on the cards as well. Jonty, does he excite you?
Yeah, well, he does at Everton because, as we said about these 3 at the back, you've got these 3 players at the back there, and so you've got so you're thinking, will Murray play? He's another good player.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, probably will. There's 3 there. You think, would Jackie Elka going to fit in? Well, he'll probably play as well. And then you've got Williams as well. So they might be coming in. No, he's not fit at the moment, but just in general, whenever he is fit, you've suddenly got those 3. Perhaps they get Coney in as well. So then
it's like suddenly teams are able to play 12 players. It seems like we've got so many choices. It's ridiculous. Andy, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say the thing we didn't like. Obviously, Coleman and Baines would be great, but Williams at Everton could be brilliant value, 5 million. Saying he's not a fantasy legend, if his team keeps a clean sheet, he's usually in the bonus.
Yeah.
Every time. And I was chatting to Boulders, who does a lot of bonus stuff, like posting things on the site, and he said it's very rare for a defender to suddenly stop getting those kind of numbers. So chances are he's going to take it from Swansea straight to Everton, and he gives
absolutely.
Play. So I think he's in my team right now, Williams.
Okay, interesting. Jonty, let's move on. We're nearly at the end. We're nearly at the weekend preview.
Final question. I quite like this one. Rossonero has asked, just what is your best tip, very quick, top tip for success for the season? His favourite is it's a marathon, not a sprint. My one, patience is a virtue.
These aren't tips, these are cliches, surely.
No, well, this is because the top tip is play your wild card and chips around double game weeks. Now, we all know this, and a lot of people listening to this will know this, but a lot of their friends won't know this, and that's why we keep overtaking them in our mini leagues at the end of the season, as we did last season. And the same thing's going to happen again. So if all these people, they're playing all their second wild cards and their chips now, they're like, this game week 2, I'll play my I'll have a triple captain chip there. Well, no, patience is virtue. Wait until these double game weeks come up, game week 34, whatever it is, and then use it then, and then you will fly up your leagues.
Yeah, I think, people listening will know this kind of stuff. For me, I'm always fall a victim to the fact that I keep faith with players, and I don't admit I'm wrong quick enough. And I think that could be dangerous this season, because it just seems like there's just so many plates spinning and so many players who could potentially punish me I've got to learn myself to let go quickly and jump on the form players and jump on the players that are increasing in value. Jonty, it's something you're excellent at, and it's one of the reasons why I think consistently you've done the best out of us the last 3 or 4 seasons. I think that I've got to learn to do that, and then along the way, that's kind of like the foundation. If you jump on the form players early and you just make that bit of money, then you can have that bit of luck that I had with the Mane hat-trick that pushed me into the top 100 that year. So what I'm going to do is just try and track the form players and react quickly. If that means playing the wild card early, then I think you've got to do that. Granville, what about you? Have you got a lesson?
I think mine is don't drop the form players. Don't drop the form players. I mean,
you did it a few times last season.
I definitely did it with Mahrez. And the reason why I did it with Mahrez is because the fixtures coaxed me into actually switching around my team I needed to make space in my midfield, and it was between Vardy and Mahrez, and I got rid of the wrong one. And he immediately scored a hat-trick. And the other one was it Kane? Which was the other one when I left a load of points on the bench? Well, it's just don't leave points on the bench. I mean, sometimes you can't help it, but and also the other one actually, which I have learned about, is have that cheap midfielder or cheap striker who you'll try and leave on. Who just makes your job a lot easier to pick your team every week. I think.
Yeah, I mean that is a very good point. Rotating players. I mean, Jonty, you know about this. It can be really painful, can't it? And I don't want that headache this season. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm not interested. I didn't do it last season. I really wish I had. You get it right. It's good when you get it right, but when you get it wrong, which you will, it's really heartbreaking.
Yeah, I don't mind rotating keepers and defenders. That is painful enough. Yeah. But when you start doing it with midfielders and attackers, it's terrible.
It was Dele Alli last season.
Yeah,
I benched him a number of times and missed out on points.
Yeah, I mean, it's just learning. And also, Jonty, one of the things that you always say is, well, don't think of players at their value, because last season we saw it, didn't we, a lot, in the, Mahrez and Vardy, they weren't 6 million and 5.5, they were suddenly worth 9-10 million in real terms, and we didn't captain them early enough, did we? I mean, Andy did, Andy Goddard, but we didn't look at their value and go, well, I don't care how much they're worth in the game, I'm still going to captain them, and that's a lesson to learn, isn't it?
Yeah, the season before was the biggest one with Kane. So Kane's away at Chelsea, so everyone's looking at a 5.5, 6 million striker away to Chelsea. But he's not. He was actually a 10 million striker, really. That's what he was playing as. So, yeah.
Andy, have you got anything to bring into this season?
Yeah, well, one thing I'm personally going to change, and you and Granville are going to hate, I think I might try and be a bit more sensible. I think sometimes we get caught. No, hear me out. I think sometimes we get caught up in trying to chase differentials, and they're not even necessarily differentials to start with. So, like, for example, Mane did well against Barcelona, and straight away there was posts saying, "Oh, he's no longer a differential." He's owned by 9%, just because there's a lot of posters on Fantasy Football Scout with him. I'm playing against friends and work colleagues. They don't know about these differentials and stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. Is try and. Last year I had Sturridge before Christmas. Instead of Vardy, I got Mitrovic because everyone had Vardy. So this year I'm not going to be afraid just because everyone's getting them. I think I hate to use this word, but I may just be a bit more boring this year, because boring's the way to win. I think sometimes, and I want to win.
I don't know what he means, John. You got a clue what he's on about?
I think it depends whether you can stick to it, Andy.
Sorry?
Do you think you can stick to that the whole season?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a maverick player anyway, but like if I start doing poorly or something, I do just get the odd urge just to rage transfer somebody, and like I said, I got rid of Aguero for Sturridge and then got Aguero back, and it's just stupid. And Mitrovic for Newcastle instead of Barty, who'd scored 4 or 5 goals.
Andy, you can be as boring as you like. We're not going to tease you about it. Jonty will tell you that. We just
I know.
Just brush over it. Weekend preview, Jonty. Shall we move it on?
Yes, clean sheets of Fantasy Island risks. So let's have a look at
this at all.
Let's have a look at some clean sheets first. So, well, if you haven't looked, I've had a look. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to go Leicester away to Hull.
Oh, that's just selfish.
I think Hull are just going to spend all their time just panicking.
Panic. No, Hull are going to spend their time making sure they got 11 men on the field. I think. Did you see the Curtis Davis tweet this week? We had the picture of 9 of their players, and he said, "This is our squad for the season." I mean, it's like they're having a joke, but blimey, it's not far off, is it?
Wasn't that the joke that Koeman made a couple of seasons ago when Southampton had sold all the players early doors? and he says this is her training. I don't think he actually meant it that way. I think he just wanted to show the pitch, but people read it differently.
Well, Curtis Davies,
and then they had a great season, so who knows?
Yeah. Okay, so you're going Leicester. Let me go next. I'm going to go Crystal Palace. That's obvious. There we go. I've got it done. Yeah. Scott Dan, who I absolutely love. I think could get a goal in that game. But yeah, Palace clean sheet. I'm tempted to go one of their defenders, but I don't think I can. Granville, what do you reckon?
I'll go for Middlesbrough. I think they're going to have a cracking start. Playing Stoke, I think there's a clean sheet. I mean, Middlesbrough are quite, they're quite handy. I think at the back. I think they're going to keep it tight. That'd be mine.
Andy,
it's not an obvious one, obviously.
Curiously looking at what's left.
Yeah, no, I think there's a fair few, or at least a couple more. Southampton against Watford. I think Southampton probably get a clean sheet at home, and even if Swansea are going to be as dire as some of us think, then maybe Tom Heaton to start off with a clean sheet at Burnley at home as well.
Absolutely. Fancy Island Risk. Who wants to go first? Andy, you've got one up your sleeve, haven't you?
Yeah, I got someone who is being overlooked. He's hardly owned by anyone. I don't necessarily think he's going to be a season-long pick, but for this week, I think Sterling is going to start for City. Obviously, I'm expecting Sunderland to be a bit better this season under Moyes, but I still think he could do a job there. He's owned by like 0.9%, I think, something like that. No,
that's fair enough. Good pick. Granville, do you want to go next?
I've got in that same game. I'm going to go for Kasri. I think City are going to. I have a feeling that. I mean, it's the evening game. I have a feeling that City might. They've got a bad record actually at home to Sunderland. A couple of times they've shocked them. I think Kasri is the ball player in that team, and he's on free kicks and everything. I think he'll do well.
John T, I'll let you go next. Go on.
I've gone for Jason Puncheon, who has cruelly let me down so many times. I've gone for him because I'm not convinced Bolassi's going to play. Bolassi looks like he's on his way out. I don't think he's in the right frame of mind. Puncheon's been playing quite well in a more attacking central role in pre-season. I just picked him because he's just been completely overlooked. I think people just aren't even looking at him. He's one of these kind of players who's ticking along nicely, but I think he could pop up with a goal, even goal or assist.
Okay, interesting. I've got a couple. I like Wickham. I think that he could do the business for Palace. I think he's going to play. He's got to play. He's expecting someone to come in, so he's going to raise his game. When he fancies it, he's a bit of a handful. So I think Wickham's a good option. Goodmanson as well at Burnley. No one spoke about him. But he led the championship for assists last season, and I think Burnley are going to score against Swansea. And if he starts, I think he could be an option as well. I think he's 5'5". So I'll go those two. I'm quite happy with that, considering I didn't do any research off the cuff there. Okay, so we're going to talk about our game weeks and our plans. We're not making any transfers, and I think the captaincy is going to be cut and dry, isn't it? We'll go to you first, John T.
Yeah, it's going to be Aguero. The reason is because actually Sunderland have a very poor record against Man City at home. They conceded a hell of a lot of games. Tell you who has a good record, though, an okay record, is David Moyes. So which way is it going to go? David Moyes has had quite a good record away at City, but Sunderland haven't. But I just still think it has to be Aguero.
It has to be, doesn't it?
It has to be.
John T, that's you done. What about Granville?
Yeah, there's no point in it. It's got to be Aguero.
There's no discussion, is there, really? No. But the thing is, Andy, you're going Aguero as well, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, right, so someone said to me, game week 1, this is the way you got to take the risk. Now, the year before last, I went Walcott, and he didn't even start. And then the year after, I went Rooney, who got me an assist, which, actually, as it turned out, that was quite good for my captains last year. But... yeah, what do you think about the theory that game week 1 is the week to take the risk? Because obviously players aren't fully fit, there isn't form there. Maybe it is. Anyone want to try and...
We all go Lukaku last season. I remember going Lukaku because he had...
Rooney, I think.
Was it Rooney?
Maybe it was Rooney. I'd Benteke. Yeah, so what's the difference? He got 9 points.
So we all took a risk last year, but we're not fancying it this year at all, are we, both?
Well, the thing is, was Aguero fit last year?
I think he has this every year where basically we don't know if he's going to start.
No, but I think last year, like this year, I think he's going to start. I don't think there's very many questions about that. Last year, I don't think that was the case. So, like Aguero at home, there's so few times when I will not captain him at home. Like never, almost. So it's not even up for discussion. Like there's other kind of little choices I've still got to make. Am I going to go Ali or Firmino? I've got Ayew. Do I like him? But in terms of captaincy, it's a no-brainer for me.
Okay, fair enough. That's done and dusted. John, so we've got to talk about FanDuel. We're playing that this year, aren't we? Now we played that in the Euros and we enjoyed it. Didn't we? You did quite well.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was a good laugh actually. Because what the thing about
you love it.
Yeah, well, I earned a bit of money, and one of the reasons it's quite good is because it's all these players that are overlooked in a lot of the other games where it's goal and assist. So FanDuel does look at goal and assist, but also it's all these players, these kind of defensive midfielders. So for the stats heads like me, it's great because things like
you've got your table sorted as well, haven't you?
All my tables out, we get my spreadsheets out. So yeah, I mean, looking at last season, we've had some nice stats through from them. You know, the players did well. So obviously Mahrez and Özil, De Bruyne. They all did well. Then you've got players like Kabay as well, did really well. James Milner, look at him, top 10.
He's in the top 20. Yeah, they've done a good job actually balancing the scoring and getting players like that into the game. And it is interesting to be able to pick players like that in a fancy game and ball-winning midfielders. I think it's going to be a good one. I mean, I enjoy playing it in the Euros, and I think it's going to be a good game for our guys, particularly the members who've got access to the stats. We'll see if we can win a bit of money on that too. So it's good to have that game on board. We're starting this weekend. I know Weekly Shop went out tonight, and we've got FanDuel Focus tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. You've got your team already sorted. I've got to sort my team out for the weekend. So much to tinker with. It's incredibly busy this week. I tell you what, it's just so exciting, isn't it? And it was so great to be back on the ScoutCast, suited and booted up. New season, new names to mispronunciate. I didn't have one player wrong to that. I'm trying to think. Mkhitaryan I've sorted. I've got that one sussed. Has anyone pronounced that the guy that Sunderland signed from Chelsea, the new centre back? Anyone want to have a go at that one?
No.
Yeah. What about the Chelsea forward? The new Chelsea forward.
Batshuayi, isn't it?
Batshuayi, very good, Andy.
Is it Batshuayi? I might have it wrong. I don't know. I've never heard it.
Batshuayi.
Very good. I tell you what, all the Premier League players do a bit to camera where they pronounce their name. I've got to get hold of that. That is absolute gold. I'm going to need it over the season. Isn't it brilliant to be back? Granville, thanks for coming on board. I mean, it's brilliant to have you on board. And I think the suits, I don't know about anyone else, I actually think it adds a little touch of class. I think we should maybe hesitate to say this, and maybe we should keep them.
No, not again. No.
No, you're not having it. John T, come on.
No, I'm boiling. It's mid-August.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and it's fantastic to have the community on board with the questions again. We're going to do this again next week because this was great again, and I wonder how game week 1's going to go. We'll see. We'll see if we're going to be jaded after 1 week. We'll see. It's a good night for me.
Good night.
Good night for me.
Good night from me.
Good night, all. We're back. Happy new season.